Good morning, Jean.
Morning, Charmaine.
We didn't have a topic this morning, but I think we both uh, did not have great sleep last night.
No,
So we were grumbling about that when we met this morning and thought that actually it's a good topic to talk about.
absolutely. We both wear these aura rings, which are really positive, really great things, but then they have their minus charging, but then they have the thing of highlighting where you're dropping down. And yeah, like you, my sleep measurement last night wasn't great at all.
Yeah. So yeah, because we monitor our stats on sleeping, what the Oura Ring does is it calculates a sleep score based on a number of different things. So the quality of your sleep, so how much time you're spending in each of your sleep phases, your um, REM, your deep sleep. But it also looks at things like how quickly your heart rate comes down during the night, because as we sleep, heart rate should start to drop and then slowly rise as we were waking up again. And it also looks at a whole lot of different things, how long it takes you to fall asleep. Are you waking up during the night? What your blood oxygen levels are doing during the night as well. So it becomes really interesting to look at this data. But I'm curious, when you haven't had a great sleep, how it affects you in terms of brain and mood and
It's quite noticeable. It's the first thing I do in the morning is I go downstairs and I go out in the garden with the dogs. And I had Merlin this morning, and normally I'm out there and I'm quite happy to be bouncing about in the morning with the dog. But this morning he was on his lead, and I was he was dragging me around the garden rather than me taking him around the garden. And it is interesting. You feel I feel sluggish.
mm,
I
mhm,
waken up and I feel almost it's almost like a hangover feeling
yeah,
without
absolutely.
the alcohol.
Yeah,
You know? And it takes me so much longer to really get started in the
yeah,
morning, to get
yeah.
clear and focused.
I agree. I think, and one thing that I find a lot, and I know a lot of my patients say the same thing as well, is that discipline goes out of the window. Like when I
Yeah.
haven't slept well, keeping to a discipline of the things that I normally do, and in terms of nutrition and exercise, and all of that kind of dips a little bit.
Yeah.
When you haven't slept well, you're just a little bit less disciplined with looking after yourself.
And less motivated. It's really interesting. The thing I find when I mean, I've been having some really fabulous night's sleep. I mean, my REM and my deep sleep have been probably the high this year, the highest than I've ever really measured, because I've been really making life changes to make sure I'm getting good quality sleep. And the thing I find that when I'm getting good quality sleep is that my motivation to do stuff. So
Mm,
getting up and doing recordings for the website, or some
mm,
blogs, or
yeah.
studying and training and all that kind of stuff becomes
Mm.
really, really quite fine-tuned. And then when I'm not sleeping, it's like, oh, will I do it today or will I do it next week?
It's an
Yeah.
interesting observation, because it is very much a feed forward cycle, isn't it? When you feel well, you
Mm.
you do more to look after yourself, and the better you feel, the more energy you have to implement
Mhm.
life changes, and then you feel better, and it sort of all
Yeah.
spirals up. And like you say, it can also easily sort of spiral down when you're not feeling
Yeah.
great. Interesting thing you said there. You said that this year you are getting some of the best sleep scores than you have for a while. So, what
Mhm.
is it that you've done to improve sleep?
I would say the biggest factor that I've done is to reduce alcohol
Mm,
virtually completely out my diet. I mean, I've had a little bit occasionally, but I've been doing long runs, and I'm not a heavy drinker, but like most of my patients, it's a really interesting thing. I've been discussing this with lots of patients. Like most of patients post-COVID, when everybody went into lockdown and everyone suddenly was at home all the time. a lot of people got into the habit of having nightly a glass of wine to relax, and a lot of people used it as a stress reliever, and so did I. And I just determined that it's not a good habit to be in every night. So I've been doing, a really concerted effort of multiple nights, weeks without alcohol. And I can't believe the difference that has made. And it's really interesting because I love a glass of wine. Nothing nicer than a glass of wine with your dinner. Actually, the impact, the measurable impact is horrific. And it's a great motivator because
yeah, sorry.
it's a really great motivator to keep at it because you really feel the difference and you see the difference.
So you
So
say you
that
feel the difference, but what did you mean by measurable impact?
my sleep measurements is really interesting, and my stress. So the Aura Ring measures stress in the body, and even when you don't feel stressed, it measures what your body is doing. And I've got the most fascinating one night that I did have some alcohol. I went back and had a look the next day at what happened when I had the alcohol. So it was a Friday night, and I thought, right, okay, I'm going to share a glass of a bottle of wine with Kim. And so I had the wine. It's Friday night, relaxation time. And then I looked at my stress levels on the Aura Ring. And all day while I was working, my stress levels were at this length. And then at that point, almost within 10 minutes of having a glass of wine, my body's stress response went like that. And it went up the scale. So measurable in terms of what the body is feeling in relation to stress, and then sleep. My sleep was up in the 90%, and it instantly dropped down to between 68, 72% when I drink alcohol. And it's instant.
It's interesting because, like you said, when a lot for a lot of people, having a glass of wine means sort of relaxing and winding down. So it's interesting how you say that, you're drinking that glass of wine, and maybe mentally you are thinking, "Wow, okay, this is relaxation. This is part of my winding down for the week." But you're on a physical level, your body is getting stressed. So isn't that interesting how
Yeah.
we can sometimes misinterpret what relaxation is in the body, right?
Totally. Do you know the other really important thing that I think is important in terms of all of our patients, and especially our cognitive patients? The one thing that I didn't expect and that I saw was that the nights that I drank alcohol, my oxygen levels dropped. And I
Interesting.
didn't expect that. So my oxygen levels it's something that I'm very, very aware of post issues with the COVID vaccine. My oxygen levels dropped from 96%, which is where I'm roughly sitting at the moment, down to 92%, which is actually below any healthy level of oxygen levels over the night.
And of course, if we're talking about brain
Function.
oxygen is crucial, right? So, every time you get a little bit of a drop in blood oxygen, just even a small amount, it means less oxygen to the brain, and it does mean less repair taking place during the night as well. So
it's massive, absolutely massive. And it's really funny because I don't want to become this person who says, oh, all you people who drink is really bad. It's not. I love a glass of wine, but think of the impact on the body as well, and keep it low. And I just always think if you're in any way compromised health-wise, it's the last thing you should be taking. So that's been my biggest change, as well as, more exercise, more fresh air, eating very well, blood sugar levels, really managing blood sugar levels very well.
So we are running out of time, but I think that's going to be a really important one to tackle as well at some point, is looking at blood glucose and sleep.
Yeah, we'll do. We should maybe let's do blood sugar levels next time. Okay, fabulous.
Well, I hope you have a great day.
Yes, you too. Have a good one.